All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for jumping on and joining me tonight. I think I have met all of you tonight, but for those of you who might be watching along the replay, my name is Erin O'Brien. I am a Thermo consultant and team leader based in Druid in Victoria. But like I always say, thanks to this wonderful virtual world, I am able to sell and support my customers all over Australia, which I absolutely love doing. It's kind of one of the hidden bonuses of the business from my point of view. I have a very young little family, busy little family, which is why I'm also running a bit late tonight. So to be able to run these virtuals to support you guys after they are in bed, which let's use that term very loosely tonight, is one of the things I love most about it. So thank you for jumping on and joining me. Tonight is another of my Easter virtual series. So tonight I'm bringing you quite an Easter meal, I suppose you could say. It'd be perfect for Good Friday, like any of the days on the Easter weekend. Something a little bit extra, perhaps, than your normal meals, but something that is also super quick and easy to do as well. You can obviously do all of the aspects of it, or just one, or a couple. It's all completely up to you. So hopefully you'll find it helpful. We'll get straight into cooking. As always, please just pop any questions in the chat box as I am going. More than happy to answer any questions. And yeah, I want you guys to get the most out of these virtuals as possible. So I'd love you to pop in the chat box and let me know before we get started where you're watching from tonight. And perhaps what's brought you along to this virtual. And as you guys might be aware, we have a couple of incredible offers running at the moment. I think it's fair to say probably the best that we've seen since the TM7 was launched last year. So with our second bowl offer, our trade-in opportunity, our current free Thermo Server host reward. Next month, we're going to see our second bowl host reward. There's so much happening. So I know a few people are interested in those things. Pop in the chat box and let me know. Or perhaps you're just watching along to learn something new to get the most out of your Thermomix. So we're going to get started. Tonight we are going to start off with our main, get that in the oven, and then we're going to do a couple of sides to go with it. So I don't know about you guys, but when I think of Easter, I think of some seafood. So for something a little bit different tonight, we are going to do a salmon main. Obviously, kind of the general gist of this can be changed around to different meats and things as well. But yeah, for this one in particular, we are doing a salmon. So I have, like always, meal planned out. Meal planned out our recipe for recipes for tonight into my week. I have our TM7 home screen, obviously, is customizable for those of you who haven't seen it before. So you can change this general view. I am a meal planner, not to the T, but I like to see what I've kind of planned out for the next couple of days. So I choose kind of the more planned option, but you do have the kind of the ability to pick between this one, like just a basic mode screen, an inspiration one if you like to think of different things to cook all the time. There are different ways to set it up. But anyway, we are going to go straight into my planned recipes. And the one we're going to cook tonight is called crispy parmesan salmon with some vegetables and a lemon cream sauce. So this in itself obviously could be an all-in-one meal. We are going to do a couple little sides just to really bulk it up if we were entertaining for Easter, or just to, have a few different things. But I think you'll find it's a nice, quick and easy one. So like always, we can scroll down if we wanted to check the recipe. As you guys know, I like to go down and check the hints and tips, which we can just use the tabs along the top to do as well. So let's put some in. So for this recipe, the only tip is for best results to remove your salmon from the refrigerator 20 to 30 minutes before baking. So we're just going to go to start in the top right-hand corner there. Again, if you can't see anything or you've got questions, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box and let me know. So the first one is to preheat your oven. This recipe is in, you'll notice, Fahrenheit and ounces. Obviously, TM7 will automatically change over to those for the recipe. But 350 Fahrenheit is about 180 on your oven. So I have already done that. And now it's just telling us to place a bowl on a mixing bowl lid. So obviously you can use your Thermomix just as scales. So that's what we're going to do for this first little step. Measure that onto there. You can also, if you're accessing the scales at a different time, you can take your bowl off and rest your plate or whatever you like on there to access your scales as well. Just put it on the top. And I have just decreased the quantities of this just because I don't need a huge amount of 6 servings of vegetables and things to cook tonight. So the automatic tick off won't work because I am doing a little bit less, but the recipe itself calls for 10 ounces of broccoli florets in there. Popping those in. So I am just going to tick that off. And then 7 ounces of red onions, cut into 8s and then like peeled apart into just, what do you call it, individual layers. Used to be broccoli, actually. Ticking that off. The next one is red radishes. It's not something that I buy very often and I didn't have for tonight. I wasn't going to buy just for our virtual, sorry. So I'm just popping in some red capsicum instead. So like always, guided cooking is just a guide. You can change it up to suit you guys, what you like, what you don't like, that kind of thing. And then we are going to pop in 2 pinches of salt and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Obviously, I just do a bit less because I do have less veggies in. And I'm not a measurer when it comes to those things. So just a good splash from me there. And now it's just telling us to remove the bowl from the lid and then mix well to distribute the olive oil and salt throughout the veggies and then transfer it onto a baking tray and set aside. So I'm just going to run that. I did really tonight. I did a very good job of getting organised in time, as you've probably realised. So I have things everywhere. I'm going to use the Fira baking tray for this tonight. So this one is available in the mixture as part of our line Fira set. So just going to give that a quick mix. And then pop our veggies in there. And then we're going to continue on. And into there, we're going to put 1.5 ounces of Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese. So 5 sprigs of fresh dill, and I don't have any fresh dill, so I'm going to leave that one out as well. And then 5 sprigs of fresh parsley. And then the zest of 1 lemon. So no white bits, so just peeling that nice and thinly there. And just popping that in full. We hit next. Oops. I think I hit one of the buttons on the side. So if I just go back to the recipe, you hopefully can see there, it says 6 of 26 there. So I can just tap that and it'll take me back to where I was. And track that. So 7 seconds on speed 10. And then we're going to transfer that to a large bowl and set aside. So we have just grated all of that up there. I'm just going to pop it in. That was that lemon zest, the parsley, and the Parmesan all done there. 10 seconds. Taking back to front. That's how important it is. Now into there, this time we're going to put 2 ounces of unsalted butter. Making sure. have a couple of different butter bowls measured out for tonight, and I don't know which one's which. So that's at 2 ounces, and then we are going to melt that down. So 2 minutes, 212 Fahrenheit, and 1 speed 1. So if we're going to scroll down now, it just tells us to put the butter in with the parsley mixture. And then weighing into that some breadcrumbs, some salt and some pepper. So I don't have any breadcrumbs. I don't buy breadcrumbs, I just make them. So I'm going to use my other Thermo, which unfortunately has timed off there, just to make some. So not gonna lie, this recipe I actually asked for panko breadcrumbs, which we could make by toasting our bread in the oven or breadcrumbs in the oven, but I'm not going to bother for tonight. So I'm just going to make them. So literally just putting the crusts of our bread into the Thermomix bowl. So if you have a second bowl, obviously, I mean, you can, if you're more efficient than me, make your breadcrumbs before you start your recipe, but it's not something that I often think about. So second, these are the little times that the second bowl becomes such a game changer for you. So I'm just going to go into manual mode. And I'm just going to whiz them up. I'm not going to bother setting a time because I'll just stop it. I'm just going to do the quick select of 8 for a couple of seconds. And that is it. We can just check them, make sure they're fine enough, but I know there will be. So that was 2 seconds on speed of 8 for those breadcrumbs. So like I said, obviously, you know, if you were doing this with the one Thermomix, which say most of you have, and you got to the stage, this is when you just want that second bowl to switch in and out. So like I said earlier, for those of you who aren't aware, at the moment we do have our second bowl offer for if you're purchasing a TM7, you can add a second bowl for $199. They're valued at $429, so less than half price, and they're not actually available to purchase yet. So it is a really great way to get a second bowl. It is also available for our trade-up customers. And if you already have a TM7, like I said earlier, we are going to have it as a host reward next month. So we can book you in for a demo now for next month so that you can get your hands on one too. So that butter has melted down, and then like I said, it tells us to pour the butter into the bowl with the parsley mixture and set the bowl onto the mixing bowl lid. So we'll pour that in there. Spatula. Then we're going to top some more scouts again. So next again, so now it's on the top where you're going to add in those breadcrumbs that we just melted out of the bowl. So 3 ounces of breadcrumbs. Actually, I'm going to have scales of it as well. And then we're just going to pop in some salt and pepper. So 3 pinches of salt. And 2 pinches of pepper. I'm going to hit next. And now we're just going to combine those as well. And so that's that. Try not to make too much mess while I'm doing it. To be easier said than done. I'm making a massive mess. That's okay. Next again, now we are going to line a baking tray with baking paper. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in. I don't need extra dishes in my life, which I'm sure you guys are the same. So I am going to put it on a piece of baking paper, but then I'm just going to put it in that Furo dish with the veggies. So let's grab some. So we are going to put that inside down onto our baking paper. And then we are going to spread the top and the sides with Dijon mustard. So it's about 4 tablespoons, but I think in this scenario, you're just going to use as much as your piece of salmon needs, obviously. So you're going to cover the sides and the top. You obviously don't need to do the bottom. Tell me, are you guys much of a seafood eaters or enjoyers, or your families something you enjoy at Easter? Put it in the chat box and let me know. And then if I'm continuing on with the recipe, which you can't see just here, it just tells us to coat all the sides except the bottom evenly with the breadcrumb mixture and gently pressing in with your hands to coat. So I won't have too much, to be honest. My piece of salmon is probably a bit smaller than the recipe. So, perfect. All right, and then if we continue on, again, one of the other things I love about the TM7 is that you can use dirty or wet hands on the screen and it still works, which when you're trying to do a million things at once, like normal life, it's a big difference. All right, so I'm just going to make a bit of a spot in the middle of those veggies for the salmon. I'm going to pop that in there, and that's it. Then it's just going to pop in the oven to bake. So, there. So that is our that parmesan herb crusted salmon will be crusted by the time it's finished and the veggies. So I'm going to pop that in the oven for about 25 minutes at 180. All right, so to go with our salmon tonight, we're going to make a salad afterwards, a quick salad, but we're also going to make some potato stacks. They're a bit like a potato gratin, but just a little bit fancier for Easter. I think little kind of individual serves. So I thought that would be fun, something a little bit different. So I'm going to go out of this recipe. I'm actually not going to bother cleaning a little bit of breadcrumbs out of there because we're going to use the cutter in it first. But you can still, a little bit of breadcrumbs in my, like the sauce for the potato bake is perfectly fine. So this recipe is called potato stacks with parmesan and thyme. I'm actually leaving out the thyme because I don't have any. Oh, actually, we'll use dried. It's okay. This recipe does use the cutter, but as you'll see, you can get away with using it, making it if you don't have the cutter. So I am going to use it tonight just so I can show you guys how it works. But if you don't have it, this is certainly a recipe you can still make just by cutting up those potatoes nice and cleanly by yourself. So we have the TM7 cutter, which is now available on the mixture. So with the cutter, we have the shaft. So that just goes in over the blade, the middle of the blades. Locks in there a bit. And then the bowl sits in over the top of that. If you weren't doing this tonight, if you hadn't already dirtied your bowl and you were just cutting up some veggies or grating, slicing some things, your bowl itself won't actually get dirty. Everything goes directly into the cutter bowl. And then you've got the blade. So depending on the recipe, or depending on what you want to achieve, it'll tell you whether to go, which side goes up. So if I'm going to start the recipe, let's preheat the oven, grease a muffin tray, place it on the mixing bowl lid, and that just weighs out our potatoes and our Parmesan cheese, which are going to grate as well. So I'm actually just going to skip past that step because I've weighed it all out and that's fine. So now we are down to the cutter step. So again, if you don't have your cutter, perfectly fine. Just skip on past these steps. You just next, or from the main recipe screen, you can just select the step you want to start at. So if I went back to the main recipe screen, scroll down to preparation, I would just scroll down to step 5 and tap that, and it confirms whether I want to start the recipe from there. So you can do that if you don't have to cutter. So now it's telling us to insert the Thermo's cutter shaft in the basket and then place the cutting disc with on shaft with side 2 grating facing up. So you will see on it, it's going to be really hard to show you. See it in the slide. There are little markings for which side. So it does show you the little grating symbols there. This is the fingerprints and the slicing symbols on that side. So the side you want to use, you want to put up. So I'm going to put the grating side up. Upside down. Back to front. The M7 cutter is designed a little bit differently so that it sits more firmly together. What do we say? Grating up. Facing next time. It's because of the locking mechanism on the TM7, because we don't obviously have those locking arms. We have that kind of magnetic lock on it. It does have like the little kind of, they call it grooves around the outside of the bowl. So if you don't line that properly, it can be a little bit of pain to just jiggle it off, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. All right, so we're going to paste that on, which we've done, and now we're going to put the Parmesan cheese into the feeder. So I've just got it's 80 grams of Parmesan. You're just going to cut it up so it'll fit in there. What have I done with that? So then we just have the pusher as well, which guides down whatever we've got in the feeder. So we're just going to hit next. And obviously it's all set for us. So we're going to grate this. It says on 1 minute on a thin grate. So we're just going to press play, but then once we're finished, we obviously don't need to let it go for the 4 minutes. So once we're finished, we'll just press pause and stop. I'm just going to pull it off to do again. Don't need to get it stuck. Hard to do upside down. Do it. All right, and then that's our thin grate of our Parmesan cheese there. So it's just going to tell us to transfer that to a bowl and set aside. So I'll just put it back in the bowl. You can see there, you can see the amount of cheese I just dropped over there. Right, so we're going to pop it back on and then we're going to do the potatoes really quickly. So now it's just telling us to change over the blade to the opposite direction, because remember how we set it to grate then. So now we want to change it over to slice. So we're going to put the slicing side up. towards me too. And then we're going to just slice up those potatoes. So we just need to make sure that the potatoes obviously that'll fit through. If not, I just give them a slight little cut off the side just to make sure they'll fit through the feeder. And then again, we are just going to slice these up. This recipe did call for a kilo, but again, not something I need tonight. So I'm just going to do a few to show you. So skipping on past that, it's just transfer to a bowl and sprinkle with half a teaspoon of sea salt and set aside. I am just going to, hopefully you can see them. I'm going to put a little bit of salt with them in there. I don't need to use another bowl, so I'm not going to use my cutter again tonight. So I'm just going to use that as my bowl. Set them aside in there for a moment. So just making sure that we remember to take our shaft out before we continue on with our recipe. The way. And into there now we are going to pop 2 garlic cloves. It says 1 to 2, but I think always 2 is the answer. And then 2 sprigs of thyme, fresh thyme. I'm just using dried because that's what I have. And now 3 seconds on speed 7. Like I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box. We are going to give that a quick little scrape down. And then we are going to pop in the rest of our ingredients. So if we want to just, sorry, excuse me, need to go out of the fridge really quickly. Just going to tear that and then put in 150 grams of cream. Does anyone have one of the cutters, even if you've got the older model, the TM6 or the TM5? We have a cutter for that as well. It is a little bit different to this one. Do you have it? Do you love it? Pop it in the chat box and let me know. So amazing when you're doing something like the potatoes, like how quickly you can cut them up compared to what you would do if you were doing it by hand is crazy, I think. And paprika. So a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, and some paprika. Then mix again, and then we're going to put in 50 grams of the parmesan that we cut up. And now we're going to combine that 30 seconds on speed 5. While that's in the seat, I'm using one of the silicone muffin trays. I just find these amazing. You don't need to freeze them. You just pop anything you're cooking straight out. They're one of my favourite things in the kitchen. And then we're going to make our stacked potatoes. So all we are going to do is layer the potatoes into stacks into the muffin tray. So the beauty of as well when you're doing the slicing in the cutter is that it all kind of stays together. So you don't really have to do too much work here. Just pop, it's in the way there, isn't it? Pop them straight into there. Obviously, this is like anything. You can make them as big as small as you want. I'm going to kind of fill them up a little bit, but if you know you were feeding, if your kids were going to eat them, you could just make a couple of little ones. Just doing 6 for now. I'll finish doing them after virtual tonight. I'll cook a couple extra, but you could again do this recipe calls for a kilo of potatoes. I did a bit less, just because I didn't need that much, but it is a perfect one for feeding a crown. So after that is finished mixing, you're layering the potatoes into the muffin tray, spreading the cream mixture over each potato stack. It does say that some of the slices will not be covered with that. So obviously if you are building them right up, just kind of quite a thicker mixture. So just going to spread it over the top. So if you don't have a cutter, your settings on your cookie dough will be a little bit harder to find this recipe because you have to, well, what you can do in your cookie dough settings is add which accessories you have. So if you don't have cutter ticked, you might just find it a bit harder to find this particular recipe. But you can either go into your settings and click cutter to pretend you have it so that you can see any recipes that are, you know, for cutter only. The other way to find it is to like Google it. Is the really like quick and easy way if you don't want to play with your settings. If you just Google the recipe and then go in that way, it'll be really, really quick and easy. So then we are going to sprinkle those with that remaining parmesan. And we're just going to pop them in the oven, and then that's kind of easy. So then we're going to bake those just for 20-25 minutes or so until golden brown on top. So I'll quickly pop them in, and then we'll see how they're going. Finish a little bit more time, but we should be able to check them out. All right. So now we're just going to make a salad. Let's clean up a mess again. Then we're going to make a sauce for the salad, and then we're all done. So what I'm just going to really quickly just rinse out these 2 bowls. If you guys can bear with me for a minute. Feel free to have a little think about any questions that you might have. Just going to put the rest of that sauce too. Any questions, whether it's about these dishes or anything Thermomix related, cookie dough related, offers, pop it in the chat box and let me know while I these bowls quickly. We'll come back and finish up. What's everybody been making? I think most of you guys have a Thermomix of some model. Tonight, the chat box. What have you been making this week so far? What's for dinner tonight? We had carbonara for dinner tonight. That's one of my favourite quick and easy recipes. Hurry. Honey mustard chicken last night. That's a cookie recipe. That's delicious as well. We'll do the other one. I'll be right back. So while I'm doing this, I'll just quickly talk you through, like I said, those current offers. We've run through the $1.99 extra bowl, and that's just with outright T7 purchase, but it is also available with our trade-up option. So at the moment, both of these offers end at the end of March. And at the moment, you can trade in your old model Thermomix, so your TM31, your TM5, or your TM6 in any condition. So it can be, the scales could be broken or be damaged or anything at all. So you can trade it in and receive a discount off your 10. So if you have a 1031, you'll receive a $250 discount off your 10. If you have 10.5, you get a $450 discount. And 10.6, you get a $750 discount. And you do, like I said earlier, have the ability to add on an extra roll offer. You can try that as well. The other thing that is new at the moment that I wanted to share with you guys is our new extended warranty. So this is the first time we've seen this in Australia, so we're very excited about it. But Roy have given us their extended warranty offer, which has been available in other countries for quite a while now. So you, as standard with your 10 purchase, you do get a 2-year warranty. But you can upgrade that to a add another 3 years to a 5-year warranty at the moment, or ongoing actually. But at the moment, we have an introductory offer where you can do that for only $99. And the extra bonus with that is that you can, in any time that 5 years, also get a new set of blades as well. So their recommended retail is $125. So you can get them anytime in your 5 years, whether your old blades don't even have to be not working, but yeah, so at the moment, the offer is to add that extra warranty for only $99. So obviously you are pretty much essentially just getting a free pair of blades with your Thermomix. But it will go up to, now I'm testing myself for these off the top of my head. I'm going to say like $269, but don't quote me on that. If you've got questions, ask me afterwards. But that will be after the introductory offer ends as well. Anyway, let's keep moving. Let's make this salad quickly. I'm going to go into my week again. That's it, a little bit better because I've got a few things. You'll see them rolling down there. So now we are going to make this broccoli salad, crunchy broccoli salad. It says with speck. But if I go down to the tips, it says that speck is available from selected supermarkets and delis. If you can't find it, you can substitute with dark pancetta or bacon. So I have tried this with bacon before. I know a lot of people that cook with bacon, and that is what we are going to do tonight. So the other hits and tips are to make your own mayo and yogurt with 3 cookie dough recipes. And you can also replace the feta with goat cheese if you want to. But let's get started. It's a really delicious alternative and I suppose a little bit fancier than the normal broccoli salad on cookie dough. But absolutely delicious, both of them. So we have 20 grams of olive oil going in there. And then that 150 grams of speck or bacon. So this recipe is going to cook this off, I think. So I'm just going to make sure that that is spread evenly around the base so that it is all getting cooked evenly. Oops. I'm not doing a very good job of doing this upside down tonight. And then we are going to put in 4 tablespoons of raw cashews within my really accurate measurements. And then 2 tablespoons of sunflower seeds. Guys, measure properly. Tell me, are you a measurer like me, or do you measure everything out a bit more accurately? Pop at the chat box and let me know. All right, so then we're going to saute that. So 160 degrees, 8 minutes. And then hopefully you can see the sizzle symbol out the front so you can see it a little bit better. But this is using what used to be known as our high heat mode, which is now on our 10.7 called browning. So exactly the same mode. A couple of little different tweaks that we've added in or have added in, but still works exactly the same. So what it does is mimics your frying pan, goes up to that 160 degrees. The blades don't move all the time. So at the moment, you won't be able to hear it through Zoom, unfortunately. At the moment, the blades aren't moving. I don't think you can hear it because I'll plug it back soon. The blades stop moving, it heats up, it sizzles. At the moment, it's sizzling away. You'll see a bit of steam coming out in a minute once it really warms up. Sizzles, browns that bacon or onion, whatever you were doing in there. and then occasionally you'll hear the blades turn and it stirs it. So it's really mimicking you at the frying pan, except obviously you are free to do other things. So yeah, just sauteing that off, sizzling now, and then we'll hear a turn occasionally. The other thing that's changed with the browning mode of the TM7 is the kind of two options intensities. So obviously because this is a cookie recipe and it's automatically selected for us, you might be able to see there that it's selected intense. But if we were using it as a, I'm just going to bring that to the screen to show you quickly. If I go down into my mode screen here and I bring up browning, you'll see that it's on gentle. So there are the two different options that you can switch between, gentle and intense. And if I go into the top right-hand corner here, the tips, it gives us a full explanation of not only how to use it, but what these intense and gentle options mean. So if I go into the tips part, it really explains the browning mode, and it says that gentle is similar to using a low to medium flame on a gas stovetop. With obviously a lot more information than that, but intense is similar to using a high flame on the cooktop. So the tips in the top right hand corner of the modes really go into that little bit more detail for you, so that you can not only understand how to use the machine, how to use the mode, but like what it's achieving, what it's doing as well. All right, if you have any questions about the modes, please pop them in the chat box and let me know. But while that's cooking, we are going to go back to our salmon recipe on this machine. And like we did before, we're going to scroll down to, I went to preparation a bit quicker, the sauce instructions. So if I scroll all the way down, it's probably a bit small for you to see properly. So it's creamy lemon sauce. Step 6, we're going to, it's confirming that we want to start from here, and we're going to say yes. All right, so into there now we are going to put 50 grams, 2 ounces of onions, halved. That's okay. And then we are going to put in 1 ounce of butter. We're going to chop that up. We're done with the lid. There it is. Smelling amazing here. And then we're going to scrape that down with the spatula. And then add in 2 ounces of Leclerc white wine. I don't have any open, and I didn't want to open any tonight, so I'm just using water with just the tiniest little bit of stock. And then 2 ounces of lemon juice. And then some salt and pepper. So half a teaspoon of salt and 2 pinches of pepper. Mix again, and now we're just going to cook that down for about 2 minutes there. So um, 5 minutes over maybe. I'll try and speed us up a little bit. So have you guys made any Easter plans, Easter meal plans yet? Chat box and let me know if you started cooking anything. I made some beautiful little Easter bickies today using some of those Cadbury, I don't know the Cadbury, those speckled eggs. I'm using only the best chocolate chip recipe on Cookie. That's one of my hands down favourite cookie recipes. So I did that, substituted half chocolate chips for half the eggs. And that's the virtuals. That's the first of my Easter baking. We're slowly getting into it. All right, I'm just going to stop that there for the last 30 seconds. I'm going to cheat a little bit to keep this moving. All right, and if I go to the cross up the top, I'll take us back to the main screen of the steps. So it's just telling us to transfer that mixture to a plate lined with paper towel, and so that started to cool a little bit. So you can still see it sizzling away a bit there, but that's browned up beautifully. You can see the browning there, hopefully. You can certainly see the browning on the bottom of the bowl if it gets so hot. And that's perfectly okay. We have the cleaning mode on our TM7 as well as the TM6. So we can just use that to clean off that little bit of browning afterwards. So don't stress too much about that. If you do have some really stubborn browning, my favourite way to clean it off is just adding some bicarb to the bowl, a little bit of vinegar, letting it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and then doing the browning pre-clean. Now, honestly, there's never anything that I struggle with when I do that. So, there's that mixture. Just pop it aside for a few minutes. Let it cool and drain off a little bit as well. Right, so it tells us to clean and dry the mixing bowl. Nah, I'm not going to. We're just going to chop things up in it. I think it'll be work perfectly fine. So I'm going to skip that one. So into there now we are going to place 2 sprigs of fresh parsley. Again, if you had your second bowl, you could just switch it out if you were, if you did want to have the clean bowl for that. Like you will get it kind of a more thorough chop having a clean bowl, but I'm not particularly fussed. So 1 celery stalk, just roughly chopped, like that, and then 30 grams of red onion. I just used the red onion between 2 dishes tonight, so this is just kind of pulled apart. Next, and then we're going to chop those. Sorry, I should move that across just a smidge more so you can see. The lid on and giving that a 3-second chop. 3 seconds on speed 6. Guys love a quick chop salad on Cookie Do. My favourite. That's still achieved what we wanted it to do. We're chopping all that up finely. The quick chop salads on Cookie Do are some of my favourite recipes. Like to be able to have a salad chopped and dressed and ready to go in a couple of minutes. I absolutely love it. It's been a very long time since I brought a supermarket salad in my eyes, so, and it will be a very, very long time before I buy one again. Why would you bother when you can make something this quick and easy? So 400 grams of broccoli. I've got a little bit less because that's just what I had left. And then 80 grams of mayonnaise. I just did a little bit less again because I had less broccoli. Some natural yogurt, which I don't have any at the moment, so I'm just going to use some sour cream. I always kind of interchange natural yogurt and sour cream. Seeded mustard, 2 teaspoons. Now, obviously, we've got the broccoli in there ready to chop, but now we're adding in all of those dressing ingredients as well. So as it chops the salad, 3 pinches of salt. As it chops the salad, it's going to coat it with the dressing as well, and 2 pinches of pepper. So next, and then we're going to chop that 6 seconds, speed 4 on reverse. So I'm not sure if you can see on there, but the reverse. So that just means it's going to kind of chop it roughly, but without just pulverizing it. Sorry, I did say there, until your broccoli is chopped to your liking for a long time of up to 2 seconds. But you see, I think that's pretty good there. It's got some nice chunky bits in there still, without it being too chunky. So now we're going to transfer that into a bowl, serving bowl. Stir half of the steak through it, or the bacon mix through it, and then half of the cranberries. If we go back to the ingredients, it told us to have 50 grams of cranberries as well. So half of the cranberries, and then top with the remaining bacon mixture, cranberries, and 100 grams of feta. So I'm just going to move this little bit out of the way in 2 seconds. To finish off. So I am just going to put up there. Actually, I'm just going to pause right there for a second to let that sounded out before I overcook. Gosh, this sounds all smells amazing. Okay. All right, so we're going to put half of that in there. We're going to mix through half that bacon mixture. Excuse me. So there you go. That's broccoli salad. It's similar, yeah, just to the standard you do broccoli salad, just a little bit extra, I think, with the high heat bacon, the nuts for a little bit of crunch as well, sunflower seeds, and then the cranberry and the feta. With our cranberries. And I actually forgot to get feta, so I don't have any to top tonight, but you can see how good that looks. So that's our side salad done. And finish everything else. I've got 6 seconds left on that. I'm just going to finish it. We're going to next, so remember to bring it back across in it. And then we're going to add in some cream cheese. 4 ounces of cream cheese on that. That's a bit too much. And we're going to give that a final cook. All right, while that's finishing, we will just get the rest sorted to show you, and then we'll be all done. In 2 seconds, I'm just going to grab it all out of the come on, try so I don't burn myself as well. Just leave that. Then we have our herb crusted salmon with the roast veggies there. How good does that look? It smells amazing. And quickly put that out potatoes. This is all done. Try one too. That first. To grab out of my muffin tray, but you can keep an eye on my Instagram or Facebook and you'll be able to see these tomorrow. So that is our, they're like a potato stack they're called, but they're like a potato gratin just in individual servings. So again, just that little bit extra, a little bit fancier for entertaining this Easter. And then we'll have the sauce that is nearly done. We're all finished. Cheat and finish up the sauce so you're not waiting around for me. It's to go, but that's all right. Just go next. And then we're just going to add in some final butter. So 3.5 ounces of butter. I haven't explained to you how good all this smells right now. Next. And then we're going to mix that 20 seconds on speed 8. Seem to have misplaced all of my cups tonight. 20 seconds for that. And then I use my Thermo jug. So these are from picture. They're a bit like Thermo servers. A bit like the Thermo servers in that they keep the sauce or gravy, whatever you're cooking, could be custard, anything, hot or cold for that 2 hours as well. So I'm going to pop the sauce in there. See. And that is ready to go for Good Friday dinner, Easter Sunday dinner, lunch, whatever you do. But there you go. So that is that. The lemon and thyme sauce to go with that. Crusted salmon, parmesan and herb crusted salmon. We've got our broccoli and bacon salad, and then we've got our potato stacks as well. So what do you think? Would that be a delicious Easter lunch dinner meal for you and your family? Pop it in the chat box and let me know if it's something that you would try, if there's a particular recipe you would try. Hopefully you have learned something new tonight to help you get the most out of your Thermomix. If you've got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat box or reach out to me. If you are interested in learning more about any of our offers, I'm absolutely here to help, and I would love to answer any questions you've got. But thank you so much for joining me. We've got the last of my Easter series is next Wednesday, where I'll be cooking up some Easter desserts, which is probably, not going to lie, probably my specialty. So I'm excited to share that with you to finish off the Easter series. And like I said earlier, I am sharing a few Easter gift ideas over the next week as well on my Instagram and Facebook. So if you're not already, keep an eye out for those. I think I don't know about you guys, but I have noticed a huge increase in the price of Easter chocolate this year. So hopefully sharing some Easter ideas that you can make with your Thermomix will help you and your family as well. So thanks again. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, please let me know. But otherwise, I will see you all again soon. Thank you.